Thank you for listening to the Music Production Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Funk. I'm a musician, producer, and Ableton certified trainer from New York. I am so glad it's February, and that's because Jamuary is over. And it's not because I didn't love doing Jamuary. I had a great time, but it's hard work, and it's a challenge to show up every single day to try to make something new from scratch and then share it. It's one thing, I guess, to make something to sit down, but to try to form it into something that is somewhat presentable is not easy, and it can be very stressful, and it takes up a lot of time, so I'm really happy that it's February. Right now, you're actually hearing the last jam I did, number 31. For this jam, I had this idea. I wanted to pretend to be Billy Idol and make a song in that vein, and I'm really happy with how it came out, and it's part of this sort of sound I've been looking for, this kind of, I think I called it a boombox melting in molten lava kind of thing going on. Whatever that means, but the month has been really fun for exploring this kind of sound. So I want to talk about what's next, and that's Finish February. We've been doing this for a couple of years now. So the idea is we take all of these sketches and song ideas that we've had over the last month, and we decide what we want to pursue, and we try to finish something and release it during the month of February. Last year, I managed to finish my A Journey Inward EP, which was a ambient, meditative, fall asleep to type album, or EP, I guess. Really, it was 5 songs. Most of those were started in January, and got it done on the 29th day of February. Thankfully, it was a leap year last year. And that actually turned out to be the only thing I actually released. So I credit January and Finish February to that. And having these deadlines is so important. And this is a fun little thing we can try to do together to motivate each other and give ourselves a somewhat realistic time frame to get something done and try to release it. Most of the time, as you might remember from school, if you have a due date, say 3 weeks from now, well, we'll say 4 weeks from now, since that's what our due date would be for February, right? A lot of times we sort of let that project sit and simmer until that deadline approaches. Now, I think finishing an EP, an album, or even a single sometimes takes a little bit of planning and a little work, so you don't want to do that here. But my point is, if you give yourself a deadline too far off into the future, you're just going to let the project swell, and you're going to think about it and ponder things and waste time, essentially, procrastinate until you have no more time to procrastinate. And then what starts to happen is we cut out all of the nonsense. We forget any extra things that won't help us get to our goal, and we just focus on the things that will get us there. And I'm sure you remember staying up late the night before a paper was due, and you managed to get it done. It's because you cut out all of the extra stuff that isn't going to get you there. But if your deadline is really long and far into the future, you'll fill it with research, with YouTube tutorials, reading, learning new things, whatever it is. But that's all a way to avoid getting to work. Read War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. I've said it a million times on this show. That's a form of resistance. Resistance is the force that is out there. He kind of personifies it as this force that's out there actively trying to destroy your creativity and stop you from working. And we have clever ways, such as research, education, learning, that we use to procrastinate and stop ourselves from actually doing the work. I'm willing to bet you know enough now to get this stuff done, right? If you're really honest with yourself, you can get it done. That's what we're going to try to do this month. January was great. We all came up with ideas, some of us every single day, others just about every single day, and some just a few. But I'm willing to bet you also probably have a lot of ideas from the past. Now, I know it was challenging, but here's the truth. Your ideas really aren't worth much. It's what you do with your ideas. Everybody has ideas. I'm sure you have an uncle that has some new revolutionary invention that will change the way people use the toilet for the rest of humanity. but he's not executed on it. And so does everyone else. They've all got something, some idea that's so precious, it's going to be amazing, but it's all about the execution. Most of the time, people don't execute on it. I'd like to point you to one of my past guests, Derek Sivers, founder of CD Baby and author and writer, musician. Derek has this philosophy that ideas themselves are just multipliers. You need something to put them up with, and that something is execution. So a decent idea is worth, say, just a couple points, but with really great execution is worth quite a lot. A brilliant idea with just weak execution is probably worth about as much as that weak idea with brilliant execution. So you need execution. You need to follow through. I would recommend you check out his blog post, Ideas Are Just a Multiplier of Execution. I'll put a link in the show notes. Just a really cool idea. And maybe you want to listen to him on my podcast. He was an excellent guest, and he talks a lot about some of this stuff, creativity, and the idea of even releasing music. And one of the things that he puts it as is releasing. It's like letting go of it, letting go of the burden, letting it out into the world to go live its life. And I kind of like that idea. It's just a little twist on it that makes you kind of see your songs as these things that you need to now give away to the world. But you can check out him, Derek Sivers, on episode number 149 of the podcast. So great. You just spent all of January making all these jams, and here I am telling you that they're just ideas and not worth anything. Sorry, you did a lot of great work. I'm sure you learned a lot, and I'm not trying to be a downer, but I'm trying to inspire you. We want to finish things. Let's try to release something. So I've got a tool for you. I've been using this for the last couple of years. It's a little spreadsheet for Finish February. It takes you through the stuff you've worked on, because probably if you look at your collection of ideas ranging from this last month, there's probably a lot of things there, and many you kind of forgot about, and I bet you went through a lot of different styles and stuff. This spreadsheet just allows you to organize things and group them into like similar categories. So you write down the jam name, you can write any notes about it, anything special about the track, you put the BPM, the key, the mood, the genre, the percent complete even is worth noting, just how far along you are. And then you can rate it 1 to 4 stars. And what I would suggest is do that, organize everything, and see what goes together, what ideas can you group together, and maybe come up with an EP or an album idea. It's a nice way to get an overview of your work. And you can even add in other ideas from the past that you probably have lingering around that you want to get to, you want to finish. And maybe you'll see some commonalities with some of the things you've created recently, and you can use those together. I'm going to put a link to this spreadsheet that you can have and save. It's on a Google Sheets, kind of like Excel. And you can fill this out for yourself. And I'll even put up the one I did the last couple years that I've used to categorize some of my ideas. And looking back on it, I realize there's still some unfinished business from last year's February. So who knows, maybe some of that stuff will make it into mine. I think it's worth, though, taking a quick break. You know, you've spent the last month making tracks every day. Why not give yourself a little rest? Relax, get some fresh air, breathe. Let things kind of settle a little and come back in a day or two. And from there, make a plan. Let's get going here. I'm putting some links in the show notes to other episodes of the podcast that I think will be pretty helpful. So if you want to spend the next day or two just kind of getting thoughts together, strategizing a little bit, using that spreadsheet, I think that's a smart use of your time. But don't let it go on too long, just a couple days. You don't want to lose the momentum you've built up. And we want to give ourselves enough time to actually get this done where we're not squeezing it too much towards the end. Having a good plan will help you know how much time you need. For instance, if let's say you decide on a 4-song EP, which would be an excellent achievement. If that's the case, you've basically got a little less than a week per song, plus any kind of finishing touches that you might want to do at the end. I would leave a couple days for that. So that means you got to kind of get to work. But consistency is the key here. Even just getting a couple parts down a day, adding a couple tracks, doing a little bit of mixing, that's a pretty good movement. And if you're able to do that on a consistent basis, you will eventually get there. I have a few episodes planned this month that'll help kind of guide us through this, and some insights from January, as well as some things we can do looking forward. And as always, on the Music Production Club Discord, we will be running our Finish February 2021 run, and we will have a channel for that where we will share our work and our process and kind of root each other along. If you want to be a part of that, join the Music Production Club, brianfunk.com/MPC. It's a fun community and lots of cool stuff to help you make music. Got some new packs coming up soon, some fun things that I think will help everyone with their music production needs. So that's that. Pat yourself on the back. Celebrate what you did in January. It is a pretty awesome achievement. I'm sure your output has increased quite a bit, even if you didn't make it every single day. No big deal. Now let's take all of those ideas and make something out of it. I want you to just visualize how good it'll feel at the end of the month to be able to say, hey, check out my new EP album single on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, wherever you get streaming music. That's a really fun feeling, and it's a great accomplishment. And even that in itself sort of legitimizes what you're doing. You're out there, you're real, you're official. So enjoy the day or two, relax, start to plan your Finish February, and we'll have some more music for the world when the month is through. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.